The spirit and talents of Woody Guthrie have come back to Oklahoma to stay. Guthrie was born in Okemah in 1912. He grew into one of the most famous folk heroes of the 20th century. Guthrie spent much of his adult life in New York, and that's where his personal belongings, lyrics, art, and writing stayed for more than 50 years. Until now. The Woody Guthrie archives are permanently housed in a new museum and learning center in Tulsa, thanks to the George Kaiser Family Foundation. The Woody Guthrie Center is expected to draw visitors from all over the world.
This land is your land, and this land is my land, from the California to the New York Island.
Woody Guthrie's legacy to the world has come home to the Oklahoma soil where he grew up. The archives of the legendary folk singer-songwriter are now permanently housed at the new Woody Guthrie Center in Tulsa. The center is both an educational research facility and museum. The archives include more than 10,000 items of material. That includes song lyrics, cartoons, pieces of artwork, letters, manuscripts, personal journals, all created by Guthrie. Through his music and writings, he gave voice to the heart of America suffering through the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl.
Guthrie had a compassion for the downtrodden and the disenfranchised, and he felt the need to write songs that represented them, gave people like that voices.
Bob Santelli created the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles. He also was the visionary for this center and now serves as executive director for both venues.
I'm certain that it will become a pilgrimage for not just Woody Guthrie fans, of which they are the world over, but also for folk music fans. This is a one-of-a-kind institution. You know, it ranks right now, just because of its newness, right at the very top of music museums. And there are about 40 or 50 music museums around the country.
The museum is unique because it not only tells the story of Guthrie, but of the history that intersected his life during the 1930s and 40s. The stories are told through interactive stations throughout the museum.
We have his original artwork animated here, and then we've come up with these little traveling icons, and each one of them is a container that opens up, and you can move these around and have a look at different parts of the story.
Each icon takes visitors from the Redwood Forest to the New York Island. During the Great Depression, Guthrie traveled the United States, writing and singing to the poor and disheartened people who were fleeing the Dust Bowl to find work, to find a way to survive.
So I hit the road doing all kinds of odd jobs all over the country and traveling amongst all these kind of people, and actually picked up a lot of songs and a lot of funny different versions of folk songs and ballads.
I've been grubbing on a little farm.
A film about Guthrie and how he influenced so many great musicians is shown in the center's theater. Throughout the museum, you learn about Guthrie's philosophy and the satirical way he looked at politics. His words echo right into present day.
Many of those controversial topics, immigration reform, the power of banks, foreclosures on families, the difference between the haves and have-nots, ecology and the ecological disasters of that time and what we're going through now with climate change. Many of the songs, if not all of them, are relevant today.
Guthrie would never be known by his given name.
Many documentaries about Woody Guthrie's life are at listening stations. One of them documents his life with his second wife, Marjorie, who was an accomplished dancer with the Martha Graham Company in New York. That's where they spent their life together. Nora Guthrie is their daughter and has been the keeper of her father's archives since her mother died.
And it wasn't about just the legacy of keeping Dust Bowl ballads alive, things like that. You don't have to play an instrument to love Woody's philosophy. You don't even have to like folk music to love Woody's philosophy.
She began the painstaking work of organizing the Woody Guthrie archives 2 decades ago. The archives not on display are in a state-of-the-art safe room within the center and can be used by researchers beginning this summer. The cataloging of all the items began when Nora discovered the first of thousands of lyrics written by her father, but unknown to the world.
Go dance. That's all. Just jump up and let go and dance. Dance in your own way. Sing your own song. Whoop your own kind of a yell in the start and in the finish of your dance.
Woody Guthrie wrote each day. He was inspired by what he heard and from the 5 newspapers from around the country that he read each day. But Nora never knew that Woody. She only remembers him suffering for years from Huntington's disease.
My father, like his mother, was institutionalized in a psychiatric hospital with 50 people in a ward. And we would visit him every weekend in the hospital. And it was so scary. It was like Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest land.
Woody Guthrie died at the age of 55 when Nora was 17. It was after his death Nora got to know her father by absorbing what he left behind.
And then after that, my experience was totally with the healthy man. And that's what's in here. This is like in his prime, you know, when he's writing and he's healthy and he's full of it.
The Guthrie Center makes it possible for the once poor, self-educated boy from Oklahoma to continue to inspire others.
Especially young people who think that, well, I don't come from a wealthy family, I just live in Oklahoma, and I'm never going to be famous, I couldn't ever do anything to change my world. We need to show them the example of somebody who did.
This land is your land, and this land is
With
my
pen,
land.
paper, and melody, Woody Guthrie gave hope, provoked thought, controversy, and conversation, all to make people believe in themselves, their work, and their ideals.
This land was made for you and me.